All right, hello everyone. Come on in and let's get into it because this is our daily dose of Diddy. Okay, he's always up to something, and there is usually some information coming out on a regular basis. Okay, so let's talk about it because I reported to you all days ago that Diddy is still going back and forth with Tony Buzbee. He has another lawsuit from a John Doe who says that in 2022 or 2023, he can't remember exactly what year it was, but that he met Diddy when they were having a filming for a high profile commercial, and that he struck up a conversation with Diddy, and then Diddy ended up asking him to perform fellatio. Okay. He says that Diddy basically told him this would be a way to get his career off the ground and he'd be able to help him out if he did it to Diddy's satisfaction. But also, he said that Diddy wanted him to hold bodily fluids in his mouth. All disgusting. But at the end of the day, this man has now filed a lawsuit and he's been represented by Tony Buzbee. Okay. Now, Tony Buzbee, who is among the counsel representing Doe, says, "We have worked hard to spearhead this litigation zealously and ensure that the voices of these alleged victims are heard." Well, Tony Buzbee, if you really want to make sure the voices of victims are heard, you should be doing your due diligence and performing your fiduciary duties and doing everything that you need to do by the book. Okay? That's what you need to be doing if you really are so concerned about victims, because it seems like Tony Buzbee is more concerned about his pockets. But that's just my opinion. He then went on to say that the facts set forth in this latest complaint are egregious and highly disturbing. Okay, we look forward to presenting these facts in court. Now, of course, Diddy's team has maintained his innocence as he faces dozens of sexual assault lawsuits, okay, dating all the way back to the 1990s. Now, they say this is not the first time this team comprising Buzbee, local New York counsel Curis Law PLLC, and the San Diego-based Ava Law Group is heading to court with Diddy's lawyers. Buzbee announced in a press conference last year that he's purportedly representing more than 100 alleged victims of Diddy's. Among his clients is a woman who alleged in December of the incident about Jay-Z and Diddy, and we already know that is now a wash, okay? We already know that that was filled with inconsistencies, things that were likely not true, and little Miss Jane Doe got caught up in some of her own BS. So it was voluntarily dismissed. Now, U.S. District Court Judge Mary Kay Vickersil is responding to Buzbee's request and subsequent withdrawal of his motion to appear in court as counsel in Candace McCrary's case against Diddy. Okay, she wrote in her March 21st letter, or the order, that on February the 13th of 2025, the Committee on Grievances of the court denied Buzbee's belated application for regular admission on the basis that he had appeared in cases without seeking admission. And of course, Buzbee said that he was in good standing and all of that. Well, now here's the problem. The attorney, Buzbee's co-counsel, Miss Antigone Curis, remember how she got into it with the judge, was basically, going in on the judge for even daring to suggest that she did anything unethical or shady as it pertained to her allowing Buzbee, to log in under her credentials or whatever. She said that's not what happened. And so anyway, she got into this little back and forth with the judge. And well, now she's been called out. Okay, now she's been called out. And, I was thinking when she was talking greasy to the judge, I'm like, this isn't going to do you any favors, lady. Okay, this isn't going to do you any favors. And it's okay to speak up for yourself, but there's a manner in which you have to do it when you're in the courtroom, because the judge has all the discretion, to carry out sentences or to carry out different actions as to how they see fit. Okay, so anyway, here's what the judge wrote. 21st of 2025, the court issued an order denying the motion of Anthony Buzbee for admission pro hoc vice in this case. Plaintiff's local counsel Antigone Curis filed a letter dated March 24th of 2025 in response to that order. Now, in the letter, Ms. Curis represents that she has reviewed all documents in this case and filed them under her ECF because she approved them. Now, this is all what Ms. Curis has already said. So as the court pointed out in its earlier order, however, Ms. Curis filed an ECF Ms. Curis filed on ECF Mr. Buzbee's pro hoc application, which included her own affidavit in which she attests that I am advised by Mr. Buzbee that he has never been censored, suspended, disbarred, or denied admission or readmission by any court. Okay? And they said she even added emphasis. But Ms. Curis simultaneously filed, as part of the same application, the order of the grievance committee of this court denying Mr. Buzbee's application for admission to the Southern District of New York. Okay, so she contradicted herself. Please pay attention, because remember how the judge denied Buzbee's motion, his petition, and then told him that when he goes, to file for pro hoc vice, he's going to have the denial letter attached to his application. Well, that means that he has either been censored, he has been banned, he has been told no or whatever in the past. But Antigone Curis basically said that he's never had any of those things happen, and she attested to that in her own affidavit. Now, as such, Ms. Curis, who represents in her letter that she reviewed and approved all documents before filing them on ECF, filed a document that directly contradicted her own affidavit. Okay, so that makes her look like a liar. Did she willingly do this on purpose, or did she just inadvertently do this? Either way, she had to have lied when she said that she reviewed and examined all of it and that she approved it. Because if she'd actually reviewed it, how did she say, or why would she have said that Buzbee's never been censored or anything? Okay, when clearly there was a document attached to his application saying that that's exactly what happened. Okay, so just caught in a lie. Now, accordingly, it is hereby ordered that Ms. Curis shall show cause why she should not be sanctioned for making false or misleading representations to the court. So the judge is threatening to sanction her at this point. And of course, the judge is going to threaten to sanction her because she was going back and forth with the judge and talking real greasy just days ago. Now, that's my opinion, but that's how it all sounded to me. She was being, sarcastic. Now, the parties shall appear for a hearing on this order to show cause on April the 14th of 2025 at 11 a.m. All parties and their counsel are on notice that failure to comply with court orders, all applicable rules, and professional ethical obligations may result in sanctions. So ordered. Okay, signed, Mary Kay Vickersill. So with that all been said, and this was filed 2 days ago. With that all been said, the judge wants her to now explain, why did you sit up here and say that? Okay, you either purposely misled the court, blatantly lied, or you just didn't do your due diligence and look through the paperwork and actually review it as you claim. Okay, so again, none of this is looking good for Buzbee or his team. Okay, please pay attention. Now, let's go to this next set of paperwork. And this is where the judge pretty much denies John Doe's request to remain using the pseudonym. And the judge gives a myriad of reasons as to why he's not going to be allowed to proceed with that pseudonym. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, it's 12 pages. I'm just going to start on page 7. We don't need to go through all of the reasons, but the judge had a few of them, okay? Now, it says, although Mr. Buzbee states in his declaration that Combs has threatened violence against many of his other clients or against those clients' families, Mr. Buzbee does not contend that plaintiff was similarly threatened, nor does he provide any details as to those other threats. So this is because Buzbee's trying to tell the judge that, listen, my client wants to remain anonymous because of fear that Diddy may threaten him if he finds out who he is, or his family may be in danger or whatever, because Diddy has threatened people before and threatened their families supposedly. But the judge is saying, well, here's the thing. You didn't say specifically how Diddy threatened any of those other clients or how he threatened their families. You didn't give us any specific details. How did he threaten them? Was it over the phone? Did he send them an email? Did he call them? Did he have someone else to do it? Nothing was specific. That was a very vague statement, as the judge basically feels it was a vague statement and not specific. But also the judge points out that, Buzbee didn't say anything about Diddy threatening this client who's under the pseudonym of John Doe. So that really is irrelevant as far as the judge is concerned. So this vague representation as to individuals other than plaintiff is insufficient to establish a risk of physical harm to plaintiff himself, even assuming Mr. Buzbee's unsworn declaration is properly before the court. Okay? So rejecting the sufficiency of a similar declaration from Mr. Buzbee because there is no basis for assuming that plaintiff's counsel has reliable information to that effect, and the plaintiff has not stated whether he, rather than unspecified others, experienced any such threats. Okay, so gonna have to prove that this person is actually in danger, not just allude to it. Okay, Mr. Buzbee, because the declaration is not sworn or made under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States and is thus inadmissible. Okay, so Buzbee didn't, this wasn't even a sworn declaration. Okay, so basically it's being rejected. Okay, nor does plaintiff make any argument that disclosure of his identity would result in harm to innocent non-parties. Factor 2 thus does not weigh in favor of granting plaintiff's motion. Factor 3 is also neutral. Plaintiff provides no indication of what other harms might result from disclosure of his identity. All right, so plaintiff does not argue that he faces other severe harms for which the second factor does not account, nor would the injury litigated against be incurred as a result of the disclosure of the plaintiff's identity, given the nature of the injury complained of here. So basically, the judge said they don't have a leg to stand on, okay? They don't have a leg to stand on. So with that all being said, in sum, factors 1 and 7 weigh in favor of plaintiff, while the remaining factors are either neutral or weigh against continued anonymity. Now, while the balance of factors tilting in favor of disclosure, plaintiff has not overcome the presumption that he will proceed under his own name in this action. Accordingly, plaintiff's renewed motion to appear anonymously is denied. Plaintiff shall file an amended complaint with his true name, and the judge has given him until April the 4th of 2025. If an amended complaint is not filed by that date, or if that deadline is not extended, the court will dismiss the complaint without prejudice. Okay? Which means that he will be able to file it again. Now, the clerk of court is respectfully directed to close docket number 14, and this was filed 2 days ago, and it's signed John P. Cronin, the United States District Judge. Okay, so yeah, it's not looking good for you, Mr. Buzbee. Okay, it's not looking good for Buzbee or his team because they're losing on all fronts. All right, and to get Antigone Curis got scolded by the judge and may be sanctioned, okay, for lying in her declaration or in her own affidavit. She lied and said that Buzbee's never done any of these things, never been censored, never been banned, this, that, and the third. But meanwhile, there was a whole paper where he had been denied, okay? His petition had been denied. So she really contradicted herself. How did she not pay attention to that? How did she miss that? These attorneys are making some big hiccups. They're making some big mistakes that's going to cost them in the long run. Okay, as far as I'm concerned. Buzbee's a liar. That's obvious to me. That's just my opinion. But Antigone Curis is starting to look like she may be a liar too. Now, like I said, I don't know whether she meant to say that or she just wasn't really paying attention, or if Buzbee just told her, hey, listen, I've never been censored. You know, I have a good standing, because that is what he said. He posted that on the social media. So is that what he told her and she didn't do her own research or whatever? But she's facing sanctions possibly, okay, because that is just unethical. Her and Buzbee are some pieces of work, in my opinion. So anyway, honey, all I'm hoping is that whatever case the feds have against Diddy, it's not looking like it's very good, in my opinion, but I'm just hoping that they have enough evidence to keep Diddy behind bars, because I truly believe that's where he needs to be, specifically after the things that have been said about him being involved in Tupac's murder. And I know that's not what he's facing trial for, but nonetheless, he needs to be in prison for some of the nefarious things he's done, in my opinion. So anyway, you know, you all drop me a comment to let me know what you think. This person, John Doe, Buzbee's latest client, I don't even know if I believe his story, because for one, he's saying that he's heterosexual, but because someone promised you a career opportunity, you are willing to get down on bended knee. Here's the thing. If you agreed to that and there was no force and there was no violence and no one hit you upside the head or held a weapon to you or anything, you chose to do that. Now, he could say that he was coerced or whatever, but at the end of the day, he made the conscious decision to do that according to his own words. He said that he was promised career advancement. Now, I find that all interesting. Okay, for him to not be that way or be interested in that sort of thing, why would you do it? Okay, he could have said no. That's all I'm saying. And the fact that he's not remembering whether it happened in 2022 or 2023, and that was just only a few short years ago, I don't really believe his story. Okay, I'm going to need to see more evidence. All right, so anyway, that's just me. But like I said, I hope that some of this stuff sticks because Diddy needs to be off the streets, in my opinion. So anyway, let me know what you all think. I love you all to life and enjoy the rest of this day, and I will talk to you all again soon.